Okay, today we are going to do some quiz review for your Evolution and Natural Selection quiz on April 7th. So that quiz is going to be primarily scenario based, which means you need to be able to describe in detail what you know about natural selection. So this formative quiz review is going to be very similar to the setup of your quiz. Now you need to use your definition of natural selection to help you answer these questions. So if you remember, natural selection is when those organisms that are best adapted to their environment survive and reproduce more, okay, than those that are not as well adapted. So, one important thing you should remember when you're writing your answers is that animals can't choose to adapt. It is always the ones that are born better adapted that survive and reproduce in these types of situations. Okay, so you should avoid saying the finches adapted to their environment, because that's likely not true. Maybe over a long time scale that would be, but what you should say is the finches that were already better adapted survived to reproduce and pass on their genetics. Okay, so we don't want to say like that the organisms themselves adapted, because it is populations over time that change based on organisms that already have those better traits. So it's not like the giraffe stretched its neck over its lifetime to adapt. It's that those giraffes that were already better adapted with long necks survived to reproduce because they could reach the food better. Let's look at an example. So, peacock females pick their mate according to the mate's tail. The ones with the largest and brightest tails mate more often. Today, males that do not have bright feathers are very rare. Explain how this is an example of natural selection. So, this is an example of natural selection because the females choose to mate with the males that have the larger and brighter tails. So that is the better adapted trait. Those that are better adapted survive to reproduce. Okay, so they were less attracted to those with dull feathers, more attracted to those with bright feathers, and over time, that trait was selected for. So that would be an answer that would work. You need to address that a better trait is there. Those with the better trait are better adapted and will survive to reproduce. Okay? So in that scenario, you should explain, those with the brighter tails have the better trait. They survive to reproduce. Something along those lines. Okay, so you'll submit that. I will give you feedback tomorrow. You need to look for that feedback, okay, so you know that you're on the right track. Okay, when you're done with that, you should practice on Quizlet. You are going to need to understand the terms to answer some of the questions on the quiz. There will not be any multiple choice or matching. It's all your own written responses, okay? And you're able to use your notes on this quiz tomorrow. Okay, so here's some terms you need to practice. Okay, so homologous versus analogous. Remember, homologous, similar structure, and it shows common ancestry. Analogous, different structure, no close common ancestor. You should know the 4 lines of evidence of evolution. Biochemical similarities is the DNA. Body structure is like the homologous structures. Fossil record, knowing that those fossils buried deeper in the earth are older. And embryonic development, those embryos that look more similar in their development are most likely closer related than those that look a little different. Okay, you can look at divergence here. Okay. So knowing those terms for your quiz will be important in helping you answer the questions. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day.